Welcome to the Daily Exchange. I'm here talking with Eric Piscini today on the show about revolutionizing blockchain supply chains. We're talking about blockchain phones as well, and the question of where is Bitcoin actually legal. We'll see you guys right after this. All right, guys, welcome back. Just a little market update right now. Bitcoin is trading around the 6,479 mark. We have had a little bit of a rise ever so recently. Was trading a little bit down. Ethereum, on the other hand, is quite up. We are up around the $210 mark. Recent news, obviously crossing that $200 mark is a big deal, but recent news is, and I don't know how to place this, but ConsenSys, which is an Ethereum startup incubator, has purchased an asteroid mining company. You know, Joel, you never know your luck in a cryptocurrency news desk, do you? You just don't know what's going to come. Probably trying to take Ethereum to the moon. All right, moving on. Icon, right now, the Korean project has had an ongoing partnership with the Seoul city government and has demonstrated 3 new projects designed to improve citizens' lives. First one was a digital identity, a voting system, and finally the S-Coin, which will be a native currency used in the city. I was recently in Seoul this year, and I can tell you now they are very forward with their cryptocurrency, and for them to actually go ahead and use an actual coin based in a city would be actually probably, realistic and probable. I actually had quite a few instances where I couldn't pay with a normal credit card, which was really weird, really unusual, but it does happen. ICX, the Icon token, has actually not moved at all, really, on this news, but yeah, that's what it is. All right, guys, moving on. Introducing our guest today, welcome Eric Piscini from Citizens Reserve. He is the CEO, and welcome to the Daily Exchange, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
A bit of background on Eric. He is the CEO of Citizens Reserve, which has recently launched Suku, a blockchain supply chain solution. Eric is also the former lead of blockchain at Deloitte, where he grew the business in 2012 from 3 people to 1,200 people today. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. He also joined Citizen Reserve in May this year and quickly rose to become the CEO mid-August. And through Citizen Reserve and Suku, Eric plans to completely overhaul the supply chain business. So tell us, Eric, give us a bit of an introduction about Suku. What is Suku?
Yeah, I think it's a very aggressive vision that we had originally. When we were at Deloitte, some of us, we realized very quickly that the major disruption in the blockchain space from a business point of view will be in supply chain. And so when I decided to join Citizens Reserve and work on this project, we realized that supply chain is going to be the major aspect of a blockchain-based solution to change the way people operate with supply chains today. And supply chain is very diverse and very large. You have a lot of different things in supply chain. So we are doing many things, and we can go into the details maybe a little bit later. But Suku, at the end of the day, is an open source, decentralized supply chain platform for anyone in the world to participate into global commerce. That's the foundation of what we do.
Wonderful. And does Suku have, so it's spelled SUKU.
Correct.
Does it have a token? And
we do have a token.
Okay.
And let me work on the, SU is supplier, KU is customer, and the idea is to bring customer and suppliers very close to each other. And yes, we do have a token that we are going to launch in first quarter of next year.
Okay. And what is it used for? What's the token used for?
So the token is a utility token, and the token has many different utilities on the platform. The first one is to be able to pay for transaction fees when you engage with different partners on the platform. The second one is to get access to special services. Think of it as tier services or premium services that you get access to when you get enough tokens in your wallet. The third one is the ability to vote for the future of the platform. This is something that we are very excited about. It's the ability for participants in supply chain to decide where the platform will be improved over time. And so those tokens represent voting rights for them. And then finally, there is the utility of the token is also based on the incentives that we can create to bring technology partners and to bring different users to the platform, right? We do realize that even though we have 45 people in the company today, we need way more people to build an end-to-end solution. And for that, we need incentives to attract different technology and developers. So we are looking for developers today. If you are a developer in supply chain, even if you don't know blockchain, just reach out.
Wonderful. And how will the token gain in value?
Yeah, so that's a great question that you have for every utility token, really. And it's based on how many people, how many organizations will be using the platform, and how many people will be incentivized to hold those tokens themselves. So we expect the token to move in value like any other utility token, but the foundation of the change in value is based on the actual utility. How many people will be using the platform and how many transactions will be processed on the platform. That's, at the end of the day, the value of the token.
Right. And which blockchain are you guys basing Suku on?
So we have two different blockchains, and it's kind of our secret sauce. The first one is the Ethereum public, because we do need some public blockchain functions. And the second one is Quorum from JP Morgan Chase. And we also need a permission blockchain because we do need to protect the privacy and the security of the different participants in supply chain. So we have a mix of both, and we have a bridge to connect both supply chains, or both blockchains, I should say, in order to create that unique view of the entire platform. And we are very close to both the Ethereum community and the Quorum community in order to build this platform.
Very cool. And so why do you need the public blockchain and why do you need the private chain? I guess, both of them together.
Yeah, so the token is an ERC20 token. And so we do need a public blockchain to process the token transactions, right? But in some instances, we don't want to publish all the information about what's happening on the platform. Let me give you an example. If I expose my entire inventory on the platform, I don't want that information to be registered on a public blockchain. I want that information to be visible only to a restricted number of participants that I decide to engage with, and I need that information to be on a permission blockchain. The second one is, from a security point of view, we want to limit the people who are going to be able to participate from a core supply chain business process, and we need a permission blockchain for that. But the platform is, by design, very, very open to anyone who wants to build new supply chain solutions and new supply chain services. I think one of the interesting things, and I like this idea because we do spend a lot of time on it, when you engage in supply chain, you just don't only buy applications, you also need services. And I give you an example. You need to ensure that when you ship something from one country to another, that package is going to make it, or if it doesn't, then you get insurance reimbursement. So you have insurance services, you have credit services, you have customer service that we will provide on the platform as well. So at the end of the day, you get everything that you need from a supply chain point of view on one platform, regardless of whether it's an application or a service.
Wonderful. And I guess on your site it says that industry partners can be invited to run nodes.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's on the Quorum on the Quorum network.
It's both
actually. Right.
Yeah.
And do you worry about the information potentially being transferred from one corporation to the other, or how are you preventing, sensitive data being transferred from one industry partner to another?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, if you look at the white paper, we actually describe in detail how every node is actually designed. So there is a lot of different pieces in one node. It's not just a quorum node. It's a lot of different pieces. And because of the granularity of the different components of the node, we can say some information is going to remain just on that node, just for me as a supplier or as a manufacturer or as a retailer. Some information will be exposed to my industry. Some information is going to be exposed globally to the entire network. And you decide when you engage, when you participate, you decide which information you need to contribute in order to get value out of the system. And it's very important to us. It's very important to say you are in control of the data that you share on the network. It's not someone else who's going to be in control of that, which is super important in this context, in the context of supply chain.
Makes sense. Let's talk about blockchain-based supply chains in general, just zooming out. What are the key problems that blockchain-based supply chains solve? What are the main problems that are being faced?
Oh, yeah. So, I think the first one that everybody is working on today is traceability or track and trace or provenance or sourcing, right? All of those things are the same thing. It's pretty much the ability to identify where a mango is coming from when I eat that mango, or where the different components of my phones are coming from, and who are the suppliers providing those components when I receive my phone. That's more of a consumer aspect, but you have a lot of use cases in the B2B space where you need to be able to track where the vaccines have been produced and where the vaccines have been stored and transported and who has been able to touch them along the way. Mm-hmm. So all that traceability is critical. Today, you have a lot of challenges across many industries, and that's the first one. So that's really, really a big one. The second one, I would say, is a lot of efficiency, right? Today, for example, in the US, where I am, you have a third of the US companies have more than 10 different supply chains, right? So there is very low efficiency in the way they operate with their different supply chains. And the idea here is to actually consolidate into a single platform for them to use. That's number two, efficiencies. And then number three is access. You have a lot of organizations in the world today who are running a supply chain on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet. And the reason for that is because supply chain solutions are very expensive, and they don't have enough revenue or enough, pretty much money to actually engage with those platforms. And what we are proposing is a platform where you can pay as you go, supply chain as a service, and the cost of using the platform is going to be a fraction of what you pay today if you buy a large system, right? So traceability, efficiency, and access to anyone who wants to participate, which is super important for us. We want to build a platform for the entire world to benefit from.
Very cool. Traceability, efficiency, and access. That's really cool. I really like that. In terms of dollars, what kind of savings do you think blockchain-based supply chain solutions will have over other ones?
Yeah, I'd say it's very hard to give an exact number, obviously, right? Because those systems are super complex today. And so the estimate that we have, and we are working on different industries, and of course, the savings are going to be different from an industry to another. But the estimate that we have is it at least a 30% gain in efficiency when you implement a blockchain-based solution. You have to implement it the right way. But that's the idea, if you want. Overall, that would be a 30% improvement. So that's pretty significant improvement. But when you look at access, the third piece of the equation we talked earlier, there is no savings. It's just access. It's just a new revenue. Right. So I think what's interesting for us is, in general, not only for this platform, for Suku, but in general, blockchain is not just a way to make money because you're more efficient, but it's also to make money because you create new business models because the technology lets you do that now. And that to me is even more exciting than just saving money.
Gotcha. So with there are there's a couple of other supply chain solutions: Walton Chain, V Chain, IBM Maersk, Maersk out there. How is Suku different to these other solutions? Why is it better?
So I think, well, I don't know if we are better everywhere, right? But I think we are very different in many ways. So the first thing is when you look at IBM and Maersk, what they are doing really is recreating an existing system, making it a little bit more efficient, but they're not really leveraging the blockchain technology. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but the way I look at them is recreating an existing business process, making it a little bit better, but it's not really a blockchain platform. It's not a decentralized platform that they are building, right? So I think that's a very different category in my mind. Yes. And they are struggling with some issues such as who owns the data, who owns the intellectual property on those platforms. And that's the reason they struggle with that is because they are not an open source decentralized platform.
Right.
So that's one category. I think the other category, you mentioned VChain, Walton Chain, and many others, they tend to focus on one piece of the supply chain. They tend to say, we're going to fix the integration with IoT devices, right? Internet of Things, the RFID. But they don't think of supply chain challenges as an end-to-end solution. Like, for example, when you do supply chain, you need to forecast your activity. You need to manage your inventory, your warehouse. You need to interact with logistics providers. You need to do some manufacturing. You need to do some customer service. All of that are today different services that you buy separately. And if you change one piece, it might be better, but you still have a lot of different pieces to integrate with. What we are trying to say is, let's join the platform, let's join Suku, and you get all the services in one place, and they are already integrated. So the time it takes to engage is very, very fast. And for example, when we deliver a new node to a trading partners, it takes 5 to 15 minutes to deliver a new node and integrate into the solution. So that's a pretty efficient way to think about it. So I think that's how we are different, right, with the other solution that you mentioned.
Wonderful. Do you ever see the systems talking to each other? Like there's a supply chain interoperability between them?
Yeah, I think at some point we're going to have to, right? I think because if you don't, then you fix some issues and you create new ones. And that's not the business we're in, right? So we are talking to some of the projects that you mentioned. We are talking to the large organizations in the world working on supply chain because we don't want to be just another solution on its own, creating another silo, if you want, in supply chain. We want to be fully integrated. Yes, there is a need for that.
Are there any environmental benefits to blockchain-based supply chain solutions?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on how you look at how you define environmental, but I would say 3 of them. The first one is because you gain efficiency, right? So you can reduce the consumption of energy, the consumption, the waste, and all of that, which triggers climate change and everything else, right? So there is an efficiency effect which drives a better environment. I think the second one, which is something that we are very sensible to, very focused on, is improving lives of people around the world. Not only because they engage into commerce, but because they are able to get the right vaccine, the right foods, the right components for their needs. And that's a very important piece. I don't know if you count that as an environment, but to me, that's part of it. And I think the last one is the ability to improve the way people engage with supply chain. Where supply chain today is a little bit complex. When you think about supply chain, you say, oh my gosh, that's a complex thing. But what we want is really streamline the way you engage with supply chains. And maybe we'll come up with a verb at some point that Suku is going to become a verb, right? And instead of saying I'm engaging with supply chain, you're going to say I'm going to Suku this, which I'm going to sell this, for example, right? So the idea is really to create more access for people to participate in global commerce. And because you do that, you actually improve the lives of the people who are trading. And so I think you have different ways of considering the environment. But at the end of the day, it's efficiency, less waste, better traceability, visibility, and improving the lives of people.
Makes sense. And It's Citizen Reserve obviously has a big mission. Are there other things you're looking to bring blockchain solutions to next?
Yeah, so we said we're going to transform businesses one platform at a time. And we started with supply chain because supply chain to me is probably the biggest opportunity that we have. It's trillions of dollars to every year going through different supply chains. But we are looking at other industries. We are looking at other opportunities connected to supply chain indirectly. So, for example, digital identity is very, very important in supply chains, and we want to also work on that. We are working on financial services. I mentioned insurance and financial services. That's also a very important piece of what we will work in the future. But you have to remember, what's important when you're a startup is focus on a few things, do it right, do it first, and then you can move on. So we don't want to diverse and be too aggressive in the thing that we do. We are very aggressive in our vision, but not in the thing that we do. We want to be very specific and deliver something real.
Yeah, because you do have one other product, a commerce product for the defense industry right now. Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so it's a sister or brother project that we have, which is leveraging actually the same technology, but it's a project that is specific to the defense industry. And the defense industry has very, very different challenges today, including traceability of different things. But it's a very immature market from a technology point of view, from a supply chain technology point of view. And so we started to work on this one specifically with a dedicated team within the company, and we get specific activities, specific investors around that.
So a bit of background, I guess. Eric, tell us about, obviously growing a team from 3 to 1,200 people in the blockchain industry. Do you want to tell us a bit about, what sort of things were you doing there?
Yeah, so, it's funny. So first it was 3 of us at the beginning, not just me, at Deloitte, right? And he was a partner of mine in tax, Deloitte tax, and a partner of mine in cybersecurity, and I was in strategy and technology. And the 3 of us decided that we need to work on this topic because cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general are going to be changing the way we operate as a business, as Deloitte, but also every one of our clients will change the way they operate. So we started the practice. It was not easy to convince people at first, right? If you look at 2012, a lot of people didn't even know what Bitcoin was, or they knew just about Silk Road and Mt. Gox, right? So they didn't know about the potential. So it took us some time, but Deloitte is a very innovative organization. We were able to drive pretty quickly different buckets of interest across the globe. And when I left 6 months ago now, it was 1,200 people providing services to a lot of different organizations, from the very large ones to the very small ones across the world, different countries, 30 different countries. It's a fascinating way to grow. We grow with the industry, but I think at that time we were probably the largest practice working on blockchain as a professional service organization.
And in terms of your work, what projects are you most proud of that you were involved with?
That's a good question. I want to say those are probably around financial inclusion. We did some projects for financial inclusions and making sure that people have access to financial services, which doesn't mean banking. It means a financial service, which means the ability to pay or receive payments, the ability to borrow money. And those projects, blockchain-based solutions that we did with different partners, technology partners, were very, very important for me, because that's a thing that, I feel like with blockchain, we have an obligation to deliver something different to the world. And if we don't do it, we're going to miss the opportunity. And working on those projects, financial inclusion is so important to actually enable the rest of the world to participate in the commerce and in the activities that we have, right? So really, that was, I think, probably the biggest, more meaningful work.
Just massive impact, Eric. I'm full respect, my man. From your point of view, what sort of trends are you sort of seeing in the market right now? Where do you think we're going?
Well, I think it's interesting. The other day, I was chatting with some friends, and we were talking about the different tokens, right? So you have the utility token, and security token, and equity token, and stable coins, and because we have a lot of marketing machines around blockchain, it feels like when the new token flavor is coming, everybody else is dead, right? But I think what we're gonna see is we're gonna see very unique companies and solutions and projects from each of those tokens, right? Whether it's equity, security, utility, stablecoin, we're gonna see unique things popping out. And a lot of the projects are gonna go nowhere, but a lot of the projects are really gonna make a huge impact. And I think we have to remember that. We don't want to throw the baby with the bathwater every time there is a new buzzword, right? We have to remember that a lot of things are super important in the market that we have to keep working on it. So I think number one. Number two, hopefully we're going to get better regulatory clarity across the globe on how we treat cryptocurrency, blockchain solutions, and so on. I think that is so important for everybody to participate, right? Because today, one of the limitations is people don't really know what it means from a regulatory point of view, from a tax point of view. The day-to-day people, they don't really know that, right? So we have to make it that much better. And I think what's going to be interesting is, today we keep joking. We say the killer app in blockchain is actually all the conferences and events we go to, and that is a killer app because we don't have a killer app yet. And so we need that killer app to exist. And people argue whether it's going to be a wallet or other platforms. But I think we're going to see that pretty soon. We're going to see applications that people are going to use day to day. They're going to be based on blockchain, and maybe we won't even know that it's going to be a blockchain-based solution, but people will use it. So I think those three things are pretty big to me: the wave of tokens, the regulatory clarity, and the killer app.
Cool. And in terms of obviously you've got Citizen Reserve and Suku and the token and things like that. Do you have any other projects or favorite coins that you're quite fascinated by?
I'm actually very interested by the stable coins because to me, and you have many different projects as you know, but I think to me what's important is the number one reason why people said earlier that they didn't want to participate in cryptocurrencies from a business point of view is because the value of those coins keep changing like by 20% every day. You don't do business with something that changes value at 20% every day. So the stable coins to me are super interesting, super important from a business point of view because I think that's going to drive major adoption.
Cool. And it's midnight this year, 2018. Yeah. The clock strikes 12. What do you think the price of Bitcoin will be, Eric?
It depends. 12 where? In Australia or in the US?
In US dollars. In US dollars.
Yeah. No, it's 12 at different times.
So that's true. Yeah. That's true.
Yes.
All right, let's go.
Tell me.
The final midnight.
It's important. It's very different whether it.
We'll go the very final midnight of the entire Earth. So it is categorically the next day.
It is. Okay. I'm gonna say $9,600.
$9,600.
Higher than today. I think typically we've seen over the years an increase of value at the end towards the end of the year.
Yep.
I think it's going to happen again. I think people are going to invest, and I think because of the things we mentioned earlier, including the regularity clarity, I think that's going to go up. Everybody's going to go up, not only Bitcoin.
Wonderful. Eric, thank you so much for joining us, and do keep us up to date with how Suku is going. That is Eric. Yeah. Piscini from Suku. You can reach him on Twitter at @Piscini. And thank you so much for joining us, Eric, on the Daily Exchange. See you, my man. All right, guys, moving on. We're talking about blockchain phones. We're looking at a couple of different ones right now. There's a couple of things we're just going to take you guys through blockchain phones and what's out there right now. We've got PundiX, a blockchain smartphone, which allows users to make calls, send files, and message over a blockchain, bringing with it new levels of user security and privacy. Fascinating stuff. HSBC has also entered the market. The soon-to-be released Exodus smartphone. The Exodus offers an integrated hardware wallet as well. You can actually separate and partition the phone for enhanced security, not seen in mobile wallets to date. I've got a little teaser video, Joel, if you want to spin up the Exodus teaser. Bitcoin or Ethereum. It costs around $1,000 US in today's prices. It's only can be purchased in a pre-release format. The HT Exodus starts shipping in December and expected to have specs such as a 6-inch quad HT display, Snapdragon 845 processor. I guess that's good. Joel, is that good?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Dual cameras. I like dual cameras. IP68 waterproof rating, and it'll run Android Oreo with 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. Finally, Argentinia's soccer sensation Lionel Messi has entered the blockchain phone space as well, endorsing the Fini, which is produced by Sirin Labs. And like Exodus, has a built-in cold wallet, which is kind of cool. It obviously features Sirin's own OS as well as an app store that will support a range of dApps, one of which will allow users to trade mobile data and battery power in return for tokens. Let's have a look. Joel, we've got a little video here of the Fini. The Fini.
Phone. The Sirin Fini is one of the leading phones designed to carry your virtual wallet in your pocket with your real wallet, and it's all thanks to this pop-out second screen. The Fini runs Android Oreo with a twist. You can switch to a secure area of the software to run decentralized apps and access your bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies.
That's really cool. Geez, that guy's got 45 bitcoins. Moving on. Please stand, everyone, for the crypto national anthem brought to you by Reddit. Thank you, Joel, if you could play the national anthem of cryptocurrency.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Not sure about that one, but anyway, welcome back. That was the national crypto anthem. All right, turning to now regulation again, a bit of an update from around the world. And obviously it was just recently the Halloween in the US and obviously around the world, 10th anniversary of the original white paper, and a lot has changed in 10 years. Let's go back and check out this video from CNBC in 2013, where the price of Bitcoin was around $100. It just recently moved from $1 to $100, and CNBC was calling it a bubble again.
I think it's just a matter of it's not regulated, it's not controlled.
The whole Bitcoin market is about $1 billion. It's a novelty for the geek squad. I can assure you, if these became well promulgated, that the U.S. government would shut it down.
And just to give our viewers some perspective, there's about $4 trillion in currency trading every day, and as Michael said, it's about $1 billion worth of bitcoins. It has.
There it is, calling it a bubble. It was actually trading around $100 billion mark, which went up to 3 times more than that. Obviously, the price pulled back then. It was called a crazy idea for the Geek Squad. Thank you, CNBC. Crazy idea for the Geek Squad. Obviously, there's a lot of different regulation around the world, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have been challenging that. India, for instance, is currently considering a broad ban on all private cryptocurrencies. A broad ban. And for its 10th anniversary, we thought we'd take a look at crypto regulations around the world. Check out this new Finder page. It's called "Is Bitcoin Legal?" Cryptocurrency regulation around the world. It's got an incredible amount of information and gives you an idea. Reds are where it's banned. Orange is where it's hostile. Yellow is where it's on the fence. It's improving in this light green, and you can see in the countries where it's a global leader in regulation around the world. Geez, Spain, England, Sweden, Finland, Belarus, Kazakhstan, a global leader. There you have it. You got Australia, Japan. Why is South Korea not a global leader? I guess it's improving. And the Philippines, and finally Chile here. on the very side. Canada as well, doing well. Do check that out, guys. There's a huge amount of information there about all the different regulations and where they all stand from around the world on that article. Thanks very much again to the cryptocurrency team at Finder. All right, guys, checking in finally in terms of prices. Bitcoin trading at $6,463. Bitcoin Cash up 15, almost 16% at $561. Big rise. Ethereum $210. EOS at $5.53, up almost 4%. Ripple up 3% at 46 cents. Litecoin at $54. Ethereum Classic at $9.47. And any other interesting Binance coin here at $9.79. All right, guys, do subscribe and do follow us. Press the little bell on your YouTube to be notified when you see us coming on, and you'll be notified of when the next show is up. But that is the Daily Exchange for today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah!